Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. How are you? What's your name? Who's your daddy? I'm very excited about today's show, which I'll get to in a second, because, you'll hear all about it. But super excited because I love this gal, and we're family cinematically. So don't forget that. We're coming to you live today from the Earwolf Studios in Hollywood, California. Feel free to stop on by. Come on in, say hello to everybody. Tell them I sent you. They've recently watched a video as a company to learn what to do if an active shooter enters the building. So just keep in mind, be cool, and if you're not cool, they're prepared. All right? Don't make me look bad, because I'm sending you here, for fuck's sake. And I don't need this aggravation. So be cool. No Sammy, no Jamie, but they will be back. The whole team will be back together for the show's final wrap-up. That's right. 10 years, 400 episodes will come to conclusion on March 2nd. 10 years, it's enough, folks. I've tried to make this clear. It's a good run, 10 years. I'm feeling good about it. There's a hell of a library of 400 interviews when we're done. And some would call it a legacy. You know, whatever. It's not a competition. I was there early 10 years ago to the world of podcasts. You would tell someone, doing a podcast. What's that? And now it's the jury duty of Los Angeles and New York when a friend calls and asks you to be on their podcast. It's jury duty. There were maybe a dozen 10 years ago. Now 300,000, I'm told, available on iTunes. Oh, boy. YouTube is where you'll find most of the video versions, which we'll be doing on March 2nd as the final wrap-up. My guest will be Pamela Adlon. She, the creator, director, showrunner, and star of the FX hit series Better Things, which returns at the end of February. I don't know when you're getting this, listening to this, if you get it in time, but check out the Better Things. Pamela's a genius, and maybe I play her brother in a couple of episodes. You know what? It's not a competition, people. I don't know why you... But I love Pamela. So she'll be a guest on the final wrap-up show March 2nd at the Dynasty Typewriter Theater. My second guest, just announced, Jim Jeffries, the gift from Australia. That is one of the greatest touring stand-up comedians of all time. Got his own show on the Comedy Central. And oh man, is he funny. So he's be live on stage too. I would go to dynastytypewritertheater.com, I believe, for tickets, because they're going to go fast. March 2nd, Saturday afternoon. It's a 4 p.m. show. What are you doing if you're in the Los Angeles area? I'll tell you. You're coming to the show. For those of you who give a good goddamn, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 2 is waiting for you on Amazon Prime. You know you'd like the 2-day shipping, right? If you like the 2-day shipping and you have Amazon Prime, well, you've got all this free programming just waiting for you. Check out The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I would recommend another show there, Patriot. Man, oh man, I love that show. It's now time to introduce our guest. I've kept her and arguably the best-looking pooch that has ever been in the studio, Maui. Please welcome Ashley Tisdale.
Hi.
Ashley. For a while, it was the Tiz.
Yeah.
And do you still
the Tiz,
vibe
Tizzy,
with that?
You know.
Tizzy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ash, which is what I yelled when I was trying to locate you.
Yeah.
To find this studio. I don't know why my brain said, yell Ash. There wasn't even a plan. It just came out of me and it stopped after 3 letters. I couldn't complete the second syllable.
You're so funny.
Welcome and thank you.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah. It's not great weather today in the Los Angeles area.
So bad.
Pissing down the rain.
Yes.
And you know, LA just goes in the shitter instantly when it rains.
Really does. It really does.
You're from here, I want to say.
No, I'm from New Jersey.
That's right.
Yes.
But you've been in LA
I've been in LA a long time, since I was like 7th grade. So
yeah.
I guess I am.
Where in Jersey were you and the family located?
Ocean Township, like Jersey Shore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So not like the TV show.
When the TV show came on, what did you think? Oh, no.
I was like, this is not where I came from.
No.
I refuse to watch it. I actually have never seen it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, if it were from my hometown, I would be horrified and embarrassed. For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's trash on parade.
So crazy.
Which is available now in 170 different versions, I think.
Oh, man.
In your reality television world.
I know.
So 7th grade, the family moves to LA because...
Well, me and my mom came out because I had traveled on tour with Les Miserables when I was 8.
Keep talking.
And came out here when I was 10, and I loved it. And so I was just like, in New York, there was really only commercials and theater. And so I really wanted to start doing TV. And so I convinced my mom to come out with me for a pilot season. And I booked a show. And so that kind of was just I feel like everything in my career has always been if I'm meant to do something, it'll kind of happen. And so we were going back and forth because my dad really didn't want to take my sister out of, she was in high school. So he's like, I'm not going to take her out of high school. So when she graduated, she was like, I want to go to college in California. And then my dad is a contractor. So pretty much it was just it made sense. And he's had a better career out here for sure. His first job was Darren Star. So, and then he just went on to tons of producers and actors. So he's had an amazing career out here. And in New Jersey it was just smaller homes and stuff. So
is he still doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just did this amazing, actually it was just in the New York Post. Elon Musk is hiring, or however you say his name, is selling his house that my dad renovated before he purchased it.
Oh.
So, and they called it the tech controlled home, which actually was really my dad who did all the tech controlled stuff to the house. So
Holy crap.
So his houses are pretty amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go to how you ended up in Les Mis, first of all.
No.
As what age?
8 years old.
Sure. What the hell?
I just have always known what I wanted in life.
Yeah, but you were 8.
Yeah,
now, I was dreaming at 5 also.
I know.
I've spoken on the show how even though I didn't know what a camera crew looked like.
Yeah.
And I don't think when I was 5, Steadicam had been invented. But when I walked to school at 5 or 6, I was in a movie. It was being shot as a movie in my mind. Those were my imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Even though I'd never seen a movie crew.
Yeah.
I imagined them.
Oh my God.
And I was acting like a 6-year-old walking to school. And I would stop. I mean, so I understand dreams.
Yeah.
But
well, you have to understand, I started at 3 years old in commercials. So I was very natural for me to be in the environment of wanting to be I remember watching Les Miserables on Broadway. My parents went to go take me to it, and my friend Lacey Chabert was in the role. And I was just oh my gosh, I have to do that.
Your friend from school, Lacey, was in the Broadway show?
No, she wasn't in school. She was just an actor friend.
Okay.
And she was played young Cosette on Broadway. And I was just I knew her and I saw her in it. And I was I have to do this. This is so cool.
And you were at point, you were 7?
I was I was 8 because I remember telling my manager that I wanted to audition for it. And he was well, he's actually, there is an audition for the national tour coming up. He's have you sang before? And I'm no. I hadn't. So he was I don't know what we're going to do. So
you have to understand, though, for the average listener.
Yes.
I was 8, and I said to my manager.
Yeah.
Just as a sentence.
Yeah.
I was 8 and I said to my manager.
Yes.
So at 3, it's your mom, dad who says you should audition for commercials.
No. Actually, it really didn't happen that way. It was it was me I was in a carriage. I was just, my mom was
you're 3
in a mall. I'm 3 years old, and my manager at the time was oh man, she'd be so cute for commercials, and he was kind of holding some sort of I don't know, something for young actors at the mall. And my mom was no thanks.
You got your manager at a mall.
Yes. And he turned out to be a really, I'd been with him up until last year. It was
What?
30 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap.
And he was they don't do that. You don't find a really good guy like that. So I wouldn't tell people to do that, but
no,
it just
you're
worked
sold
out.
into slavery when you meet a manager at a mall.
I know. But yeah, he just thought I was really cute for commercials. And my mom was just no, we don't really want to be in that, type of business. But he had given her his card. And unfortunately, my grandma had suffered a loss in the family. And so my mom was really just actively trying to get my grandma out of the house.
Oh,
and
wow.
actively well, this guy gave me his card and maybe there's like a commercial audition in New York or something. And you want to come with me? And she was really just trying to get her up and going. So it was really my grandma's fault. And it was, I think the commercial audition was this JCPenney commercial. And I went in and I booked it. And then I booked 7 commercials in a row. And so my parents were like, this is so weird.
You're still 3 or 4 years old?
I was just 3 years old. So, I think from my parents' point of view, they were like, this means something that she just keeps booking. And I also was a really rambunctious kid and I really did not listen to my parents. And so I think from my mom's point of view, she was like, she listens when she's on set to a director. She's very quiet and she's a good kid. And like, it's helping her calm down in her rambunctious self. But
daycare. Your parents treated...
I know, that should just got a daycare, right?
Your parents treated show business as daycare.
Yes. But my dad from day one was like, she has to have a normal childhood. So I was in school pretty much my whole life. I graduated. I went to Valencia High School. I worked in clothing stores up until I was on a show. So I had a very normal childhood compared to a lot of the actor friends that I've grown up with.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that. I mean, at times it was hard, but yeah, I've always been the driving force in it. Like my parents have never, like my sister was in it too, but she chose to do cheerleading in high school and actually stopped in the business for a while. And I just always wanted to do it. I really did at a young age. It's the weirdest thing, but even being in New Jersey, I was like, I'm meant to do something. I'm meant to be somewhere else. I'm not meant to be here. I actually didn't feel like I fit in where I lived for some reason.
If I may.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 70, conservatively.
Yeah.
74.6% of people growing up in New Jersey say, I'm not meant to be here.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. That is probably true. But as a 7-year-old, that's what I thought.
So your sister was a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to jump around, cutting to you're a cheerleader in High School Musical.
No, I'm a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader in Hellcats, not High School Musical.
Oh, okay.
I was in the drama department in High School Musical, yes.
That's right. Sorry. I just remember seeing all the dancing around and people are cheerleaders.
I know, right? I mean, there were cheerleaders then.
Yeah, sorry. It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah. You've had like 7 lifetimes.
I have. I really have. Yes. Yeah.
But anyways, you did ultimately portray a cheerleader famously. And so how did your sister, the former cheerleader, feel about that?
Yeah, what's so funny is that I have never been really the dancer in the family. I've always been really uncoordinated.
Aha.
And so when I actually got hired for High School Musical and it had dance in it, like my family and my sister were like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go.
She's not the dancer?
She's not the dancer. And, I think that in life, anything that you work really hard at, you get better at.
That's right.
So, the High School Musical one, I would have to say throughout the High School Musicals, I got better with dancing. I wasn't the best dancer, but I did get better. And then when I did Hellcats, I think I came into my cheerleading self. And so I've always been like, there was times where I missed out on, I did think about cheerleading in high school because I wanted to be more active in, my high school life.
They're performers.
But then I was just, I was like, but, if you miss like one practice for an audition, you're off the team. And I was just like, I'm not willing to do that. So it's cool because I have gotten to experience those things in my acting life.
Yeah. And I'm sure manager mall manager was not excited about you not being able to miss auditions.
I know, probably not.
Cheerleader schedule.
Yes,
that
probably
was not going to fly.
No.
So you're getting commercials. You have a manager. You get cast in the national tour?
National tour. And international tour.
An international?
Yeah. I went to Singapore for 3 months.
Of course you did. You're 8.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of very famous former child actors who did not fare well.
Yeah.
So you're also in this rarefied air of I was 10 going on 40. So I get the old soul aspect.
Yeah.
And the adults who talk to me like an adult are the ones I connected with as a child.
Yeah.
Right? So I get that. And I remember even asking my mom when I was 12 or so, hey, there's this thing, you pay money, Mom, and they put you in a casting thing. Why aren't we doing that? And she said, well, we're not spending that money, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking in terms of I should absolutely be in show business.
Yeah.
At a very young age.
Yeah.
But so few people go through it and survive and then thrive in 5 different careers.
Yeah.
So
It's like there's like different stages, I think, you know?
yeah. Were there moments where you listen, there's an ebb and flow of every career, especially if you've been at it in your case your entire life.
Oh yeah.
Certainly in every case.
Yeah.
There's an ebb and flow. There's no other way around it. Mm-hmm. There's no just one singular upward trajectory for any single talent in any business.
Yeah.
So if you're touring at 8 the world, if you're 3 months in Singapore, when that tour ends, and how many years did that last?
I did it for a year and a half.
Year and a half. So you come out the other end, you're 9.5. And what is the re-entering of the real world as a non-touring 9.5-year-old?
I know.
What is that?
Well, you go through depression.
You get a therapist. You have a manager and a therapist at 9.5.
No, I mean, I think, you know, the thing that I loved the most about doing Les Mis, and it was really hard because, you know, it's hard on my mom. My mom was like touring with me everywhere, and my dad and my sister would come out to every city I would go to. And we really, you know, I only got 1 vacation. We don't have understudies on tour. So it's like, you know, yeah. It's not like Broadway. You have
when
understudies.
You get sick, you just go
You
on.
have to go on. Like, unless you're in a hospital bed, then you're able to not be in. And they put one of the boys in the Eponine costume. So, because the young Eponine doesn't sing. So
the character you were doing the national tour doesn't actually sing.
No, Cosette. We go. Yeah, I played young Cosette, and then the next night I'm young Eponine, and so me and the other girl, we switch on and off.
Gotcha.
So
one night you're singing, the other night you're not.
Yes, yeah. So pretty much, I think that for me, well, the thing on tour or in any Broadway shows, when you're young, obviously you're growing. And so when you get to a certain height, they kind of like let you go because you've outgrown the role. And with me, I've always been very tiny and I wasn't growing. And so they would have kept me for a long time and I would have stayed.
If I may, you could still technically be on tour.
I really could. And so my mom's like, Ashley, please, we've been doing this for a year and a half. Only 1 vacation for a week, which was my birthday. And she was just like, we need to get off this tour. And I was just like, I just really loved the family aspect to it. I love creating families like on sets. I'm friends with almost everybody that I've ever worked with on any show that I've ever done. And I really like that aspect to it. And so I think when I remember coming off tour, I was obviously sad. We came straight to LA. And I was just like bummed and I missed everybody. It feels like it feels like, I don't know how to explain how it feels because I don't know, what that is, but it's just like you feel like you've kind of separated from a family.
Absolutely.
And so it is a really kind of sad moment, but I just remember, my mom's always been someone who's like, okay, cool, like on to the next thing and like keeps me going and motivated. And so I was auditioning for TV stuff at that time and so I had done a couple of things there. So I've kind of always, like whenever I'm very well rounded, I don't just do one thing. And that came from my mom, like, kind of being like, when one thing isn't, working in one area, do something else that keeps you going. And I'm just a very creative person. So
at 9.5, you figure out it's time to diversify.
Yes. So I started doing animations.
What does that mean? Drawing or voicing?
No, I was a voice on a couple MGM things. And I also there's like, back in the day, there's this thing, I think they still do. It's called the looping group, which you are part of this looping group and you do the voices of the background on movies. And so I did that for a long time.
As a
young kid.
10-year-old.
Yeah, as a 10-year-old. I was like, 10, 11, 12.
I have to check real quick to make sure none of these are an emergency. If you check your phone, please. Those of you listening, just take a moment to check your phone.
It could be an emergency.
It could be an emergency. You just don't know. I think we're fine. No emergencies on my end. How's yours?
Mine's good.
Okay,
Mine's
good. Well, listen, those of you, I forgot to acknowledge at the top of this, it's Valentine's Day when we are recording this. And I wanted to remind you, now that you're listening to this, and it is not Valentine's Day, unless it's Valentine's Day 2020 or thereafter, it's possible. This show will, of course, last beyond the lives of my guest and I, and Maui. I'm just going to say it. It's true. Anyways, it's not Valentine's Day, but please reach out to the person that you love and let them know how important they are. And remember to do that when it's not Valentine's Day. Damn it.
Yes.
So that's why I was checking for emergencies, Valentine's Day related.
Got it.
Yeah. So 10 years old, you're diversifying, you're in the Loop group, and I understand the family aspect of making a family,
Yeah.
and also the sense that, like, we hadn't seen each other in a very long time.
I know.
From when we did a movie together. What year was the movie we did?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? It's so crazy. I had just gotten Maui when we went to go do that movie. And I was so excited because coming home to get the dog. And so she's 11. So that was 11 years ago.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So 11 years ago, I don't think, no, it couldn't have been the last time we saw each other, but it's been a very, very long time.
Very long time.
Yeah. So we saw each other recently.
Yeah.
And you felt the need to say to me,
how good you are.
Kevin, it's Ashley.
Yes. I was like, hello, Dad. I watch you all the time on Mrs. Maisel.
But instantly, it's as if we shared a foxhole in Nam, right? We were this family away on shooting the movie.
I know.
And that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, of course, on set, the sense of family, too. The other weird memory I have from 11 years ago when we were shooting the movie, couple things. There was a Canadian actress who was on Degrassi, who played one of your friends.
Was it Shanae?
Two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
Shanae and...
oh my gosh.
I know. I really feel bad because the other one I became friendly with, and she was on this show because Jamie, my better half, was obsessed with Degrassi.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. And she played one of the main characters.
I know. I'm trying to remember.
I feel
this
so
is horrible.
I'll look it up before. Well, listen, I have an excuse. I'm quite old. But
me too in the business.
Yeah, that's right. Ain't that true? And also, anyways, I just remember. So I remember her saying, I said something like, "Oh, let's keep in touch, or follow me, or something on MySpace." And she said, "Well, I'm onto this other thing now. It's called Facebook." And I went, "Oh, okay, whatever." So that happened, I think, 11 years ago. I think maybe, was it Twitter or Facebook? Well, anyways, it was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird. And then the other truly bizarre part, I knew of your fame and success, and I also knew that it wasn't something that I was in the demographic of. I just knew it was out there and it was big. But I remember we were shooting in someone's house. Mm-hmm. That might have doubled for our house, our character's house.
Yeah.
And we walked out one day, and every citizen within a 5-mile radius was out front of this house waiting for you to come out, as if the Beatles were inside, was my memory. And I thought, oh, that's what this is.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So that sort of success is on a completely different worldview, life experience.
I know.
So I like to jump around a little bit. So let's go to, because by the time you got to High School Musical, you've had 3 lifetimes.
Yeah.
You've traveled the world as a performer.
Yes.
You've been working since you were 3.
Yes.
It's kind of a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
But you're now experiencing a level of recognition and success.
Yeah.
That is just, it changes everything.
For sure.
So because that's rarefied air, what is the initial path like? What is your memories of the initial transition from a working, successful actress, creative, diversifying from age 3 to, how old are you when you get High School Musical?
I was 19.
Okay, so 16 years in the business, a 16-year veteran.
Yeah.
But when however people discover you is how they know you.
I know.
So if that's how the world discovered you on a higher plane, you're brand new to them.
Yeah.
But in your heart, I've been at this forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was I remember one of the first things. Well, also, I became really recognized from Sweet Life, Zack and Cody, which was a series I was on prior to High School Musical. And
who were Zack and Cody?
Cole and Dylan Sprouse. Yes. But it was really funny because I remember there was an article on all of us from High School Musical being like as if we overnight became successful. But we had all been in the business for a pretty long time. I mean, obviously I was in it for a long time, but I knew Corbin Blue from days in New York being a Ford model. So he was in the business for a long time as well.
Right.
And so it's just really funny that people just try to make it as if it just happened overnight. And you're like, no, it's taken a long time to get here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, in anything, I remember actually right before Sweet Life, Zack and Cody, when I was 18, I remember quitting. I remember calling my manager and being like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, what? And it was right before Sweet Life happened. And I was just, you have to understand from my point of view, I had been doing, I gratefully had been doing a pilot every year since I was 16. When I was 16, I booked my first pilot for Chuck Lorre. And it didn't go. And then I booked another NBC pilot where I played Howie Mandel's daughter. That didn't go. And then I did an ABC pilot. That didn't go. So for me, it's 15 years in the business. Things weren't really working out. And I was just had graduated high school. And I think having the lack of something else in my life besides the business, it was suddenly the business became my life. Whereas I would be distracted. I would go to school. I had a set schedule, and then I would audition on the side.
Yes.
And then once that kind of happened and things weren't happening, I was just so bummed. And
the failed pilot aspect, over and over again, is debilitating.
Yeah, you're just maybe this is not meant to be.
Your hand is inches from the brass ring.
Yeah.
And you've been promised the world. And everyone knows it's a roll of the dice, but just to get the part on a pilot is a miracle.
Hard. Yeah.
Numbers game, just
for sure.
Percentages against you. Then to get that pilot actually to go and be shot is another miracle. And then to not be fired after the table reading becomes another miracle in modern day. And the shooting of the pilot, again, we're creating another family.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this happens for you, but towards the last couple of pilots, I would say to the other cast members, don't take this personally, but I'm going to not get so emotionally involved.
I know. I've gone to that point too with people where I'm just ooh, I just don't really get super attached like I used to when I was younger.
Right.
But
I would also buffer by saying it's not going to get picked up. We're not going to get picked up.
You kind of know once you've been through it enough, you're okay, this is going to go and this is not going to go. And you're just don't want to tell everybody
else.
But
then I don't know if we're ever right.
Actually, I'm pretty good
How can
at
you
this
predict?
point.
Here's I'm going to send this out a little photo so I can get my better half to stop texting.
Oh my God, so funny.
Just by sending out a photo of what it is we're doing.
You're hilarious.
Okay. Now I can. Yeah, so you do get a sense of what pilot's going to go, what pilot isn't going to go, and then we're wrong at times, like I said. So when High School Musical comes, is it also just a pilot?
No, so pretty much at that point in my career,
you said I'm done.
I said I'm done.
I'm 18. Graduated high school.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to college. I'm just going to kind of separate myself from this. And
I think people really need to understand I want to make a little bit more of that moment.
Yeah.
Because, again, you'd been at it 15 years. You had seen the world. You had made lots of families along the way.
Yeah. And lots of sacrifices. I think that we forget,
your entire childhood.
My entire childhood, I sacrificed, seeing my dad all the time because he was in New Jersey. And then, sacrifice not being as involved in my high school and stuff. So it's just I think it just got to a point where it's a little bit overwhelming. And I was just I don't want to just keep trying. And I just had that moment where I was just I'm done. I just called my manager, and it was the first conversation where he was like, I think she's done. And he was like, he's like a second father to me. So of course
Sure.
he was like supportive over whatever I wanted to do. But the next day came in this pilot audition for Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And of course I was like, no. I said no. I was like, it's Disney. No thanks. I was like, to me, I was like, I'm an actor on network shows,
Also, they already established Disney stars? That was a thing.
They did.
It was a separate thing.
And also separate to that, I had auditioned for Disney for years, and it was always me and one other person for a Disney movie that they would be auditioning for. Literally just me and one other girl, and they'd always go with the Disney girl who was on a Disney show. And so I remember saying to Bill, I was like, I'm done auditioning for Disney. And that was 2 years prior. So I hadn't auditioned for Disney for a long time because I was like, they're always going to go with the Disney chick. So it's like, what am I doing? So when that came in, I was like, no, I don't want to audition for it. And I remember it being like this whole thing where I was like super dramatic. And I was just like, I don't want to go out for it. And he was like, just try it, And I was like, oh, and I just was like, whatever. And he's like, listen, they only do 2 pilots. So you have a 50-50 chance of it getting picked up. And don't you want to be on a show? Like, isn't that what you're so frustrated about? You want to be on a series? Because I really did. I just wanted to be on a series where every day I went to work and like got to be on a series.
You wanted a so-called normal life.
Yes, yeah. And so it's just
interesting that's what we consider to be a normal life.
No.
I want to go to a soundstage.
Just want to go to a soundstage.
I want to have craft service.
Yes. So so I auditioned for it and I was feeling pretty down. I remember feeling like whatever. And I auditioned for both roles of London Maddie. And I remember the casting agent was like very excited about me. And she's like, oh my God, you're so good. And like, you got to come to a callback. And I was just like, okay, cool. And like, but I was still kind of just like, about it. And anyway, I screen tested for both characters. And at the end of the day, they felt I was more Maddie. And they asked me, what did I want to play? And I was like, honestly, I really did want to play Maddie. So I was very excited because I booked this pilot and I was like, great. And so after that, we did have a 50-50 chance. There's only 2 pilots that season. Fun fact though, I believe Zac Efron was in the other pilot.
That's insane.
I know, right? So crazy. So I knew Zac, actually not even from that, but I knew Zac from a show he did called Summerland. And my best friend Shelly did Summerland with Zac. And so we were actually all really good friends. But High School Musical came about after my first season on Sweet Life, and it was just an audition. It was a movie, so it was not going to be a pilot.
Right.
But the best part was they didn't want to see me for it. So I was like, wait, now I'm starring on one of your shows. Don't I have an in here?
That's how it works.
I was like, wait, this is how it's always worked. And
it's always worked that way against you.
I know, right? So I was like, wait, what? And they're like, no, we know who we want for this role. It was actually pretty late. I was pretty late in like even discovering it. So they were screen testing and they already knew who they wanted. And I was just like, my manager kept calling me like, you have to see her. Like, you just have to see her. And so they're like, cool, yeah, we'll just bring her in on we'll just have her meet with the director. So all I knew was I was meeting with Kenny Ortega and I was going to go in and audition for this role. And they were testing the next day.
And how focused and how hard are you working on that audition?
At that audition,
you're working on another show, and it's easy to protect ourselves emotionally from rejection by trying less.
Yes,
actually.
yeah.
Subconsciously, we don't realize we're protecting ourselves from rejection, but it's one of the things the brain does.
It is, and actually, it's really funny is that we were on hiatus from the show. So I did have a summer to do something. And so I was like really looking for something to do.
Yeah.
And what excited me about the role was that it was a musical. So this was not a typical audition because I had to sing for Kenny and I had to do the lines. But the screen test was a whole nother thing. We were like, it was like as if I went back to New York City and was auditioning for Broadway, where you go through dance, you go through singing, and you have to do the lines. So it was like a Broadway audition, which obviously I was very good at.
Yes, you were.
I was like, I've done Broadway stuff. So I pretty much screen tested. And I remember saying to my mom, I said, listen, I knew I was not like the best dancer. And I said to my mom, I may not be the best dancer in the entire world. And I may not be the best singer in the entire world. But I was like, I'm a really good actress and I'm going to act like the best singer and dancer. And so I think it was, to be honest, that feeling that I was not scared. And of course, in those situations, you're nervous. You know, you don't want to be front and center because the director and producers are staring at you right in the front. You want to be towards the back if you feel like you're not going to be great at something. I was always front and center. I was like, I am going to show what I can do. Yep. And I think I just kind of embodied Sharpay, which is, Sharpay wasn't the best singer and dancer, but she thought she was.
She thought she was.
And so I think that is really what they saw in me. And I remember screen testing.
They were sitting there.
Yeah.
Forgive me, thinking, like Sharpay, this girl thinks she can sing and dance.
Yeah, they're like, she really is this character. But then also I think when they screen test you have like, you're doing a little bit with like the other characters. And so they were having me, go in for a chemistry read with Lucas and another guy. And when Lucas came in, I have to tell you, he's one of the best. He's a better singer out of all of us together.
Wow.
That guy can hit notes you cannot believe. And so I remember sitting there and you were singing the song together. We had to sing the song. And it was
he's brilliant and you're not.
He is just singing and like taking over.
Yes.
And I was like, I just remember a moment where I was like, I cannot let this guy take over this scene.
Good.
Because I'm like, I would never allow it, like Sharpay would never allow this guy, her brother, to take over.
Right.
So I was doing all these dance moves in the background as he was trying to be like front and center, where I was like, I am going to take the attention off of him.
Yes, you are.
And I did. And so I think it was like all of that combined that, then I got the role of a lifetime. I mean, they still did not want me to get it. Literally, I remember, I think they said to the director, I think they said to Kenny told me this. They were like, you can't book her for this role. She has a TV series for us and she's going back into production soon. We can't do this with her. And Kenny said, I will not do it without her. And he was like, I'm going to change the production schedule and we will shoot her out and she'll go back to her show. And so, thank God for Kenny Ortega. And so.
Well, yes, but he felt that way because of what you did.
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah,
that's so true.
It is true.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I push a lot on this show. You don't need a lot of fans, as it turns out. You need the right ones. Mm-hmm. You need a few individuals along the way who say, I won't do it without him.
Yeah, definitely. You need that support.
Yeah. So you do shoot that. It's crazy fun.
So much fun.
I'm going to assume.
Yes.
Because it is everything like a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
But you get to do multiple takes, unlike a Broadway musical.
Yes.
You've been on so many sets. There must be a sense of you earned it in a way that you knew was more difficult than maybe other things that you had fought for and ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, out of all the Disney movies I was up for, I was like, I got the one, like, how did that happen? That's insane.
Yeah.
And of course, and I think that that's something so important to know is like, I think in those moments where you feel, like anybody feels this way where you're like, gosh, it's just not working out. And like, maybe this is not what I'm meant to do. And like, I remember just being like, how can I not book this movie for Disney? Like, how is it possible that I just cannot do it? But of course, there's such a bigger plan and you just don't even know it at the time, And it's like, it was so cool. And I think obviously it was the fun that we had on set, which is what brought it to life even more. And Kenny and his vision of it came to life. But I remember that moment where I was like, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just knew we were having fun doing it, and we had no idea what was about to happen with us. But I do remember going to a concert. I think it was like an Ally and AJ concert or something. And Zach was there and I was there. And the trailers had just come out for High School Musical. And I remember suddenly seeing Zach and being like, oh my gosh, Zach. And we were at the theater that used to be at Universal Studios. I forget what the amphitheater was, but it was like this big kind of theater. And so we were at this concert and suddenly people saw that we were there and they knew me from Sweet Life. You have to remember too. But let me tell you, they started chanting Ashley. And I was like, I thought Ashley Simpson was there because I was like, oh my God, Ashley Simpson's here. You know, I was like, oh, where is she? I want to meet her. And I didn't realize they were chanting for me. And it was pretty crazy because when they saw me and Zach get up, they were like screaming. And I was like, the trailer had just come out. So I had no idea what was about to happen. But it was by far one of the craziest experiences, obviously, of all of our lives that we went through. I mean, just each movie got bigger and bigger. And, you know.
Was there an international aspect to that as well?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Like I remember when we went to London, Disney didn't really know what they had on their hands. You know, usually part of the Disney machine is that they know what they're going to fully support. You know, they know when it's the next Lizzie McGuire, or like they kind of have this thing that they do. And with High School Musical, I think because it was a musical, they were a little bit nervous, or they just didn't really know what it was going to be. So they were just putting it out there. So they really didn't know even for themselves what was about to happen. And so I remember, like, instead of going to, you know, Europe before a movie comes out, we ended up going after because of the success of it. So we were in London, and I remember Zach was shooting Hairspray, so he couldn't come. And it was really funny because it was just breaking in London after it broke in the United States. And a lot of the kids were like, of course, Zach was like, everyone knew Zac Efron in the US. But in London, they were like, where's the basketball guy? And we were all like dying laughing because we're like, the fact that they don't know his name yet. But yeah, then it internationally became such a huge thing. I mean, we went to South America on tour when we were doing the High School Musical tour, and we performed for like 80,000 people a night. And so that was crazy. And then we went on the, you know, HSM tour in the US.
Give me a little bit of, we performed for 80,000 people.
Yes. So we went in concert, of course.
And so how many of you from the cast, and how many
it was 5
handlers and security? What kind of a machine?
It was very rock star moments. It was like,
well, that's what I feel it must have been.
Yes.
You were the Beatles.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we definitely were there for sure.
80,000
people. Yeah.
For
one
huge
stage
show.
Yeah. For one concert. It was a concert of pretty much, we were all kind of doing music. Vanessa had her music, I had my music, and Corbin had his. And then Monique was doing Dancing with the Stars. And Zach couldn't come because he was doing, I think he was still on Hairspray or doing something for that. So they had Drew Seeley kind of fill in for him, who had written a couple of the songs for High School Musical. And pretty much the concert was celebrating what we were doing in our in our lives as people. So it was really, we got to perform, like I got to perform my music for my first album. And but then we'd perform some High School Musical stuff. But yeah, it was crazy. It was just like a full-blown tour. We had 6 security guards with us, but then we'd have security guards in every area that we'd, you know, they would just sit on our, like, every single hotel room floor. Like we'd have a guard there. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was mayhem. It was like times where I remember specifically we would do a meet and greet after the concert, and it was just like, you know, there's like a lot of kids and parents, and I remember being in, I forget if it was Mexico City, but suddenly we were hearing like a banging on the door, and we're like, what? And it was like, boom. Boom. And we were like, what is going on? And the security guards just ended up yelling breach and taking all of us fast, just like grabbing us all and throwing us into a dressing room because moms were trying to break into where we were at. And there was a huge mob of kids and moms that were like, you know, parents will do whatever they need to do for their kids. And so we were just like, oh my gosh, like it was craziness for sure.
Yeah, there's been a breach. It's moms.
It's moms.
How are we going to protect our cast from devoted mothers?
Yes, it was pretty crazy.
Oh, man. And
very passionate.
Yeah. How long? So ultimately, how many movies and how many years?
3 movies.
Right.
And that was pretty much like every year we would do a movie, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
And a tour.
And a tour in between. So, and then, you know, at the same time, this is obviously, you know, because
you're also doing.
I'm just diversifying myself. I'm also doing my TV series, Sweet Life, and starring on the hit animation Phineas and Ferb that we did for 9 years for Disney. So I was literally on tour going into like different studios in recording
other
Phineas
countries.
and Ferb. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A true Careful What You Wish
Yeah.
handful of years.
I honestly, though, I loved it.
Of course.
I loved it. It was like,
and also, you're
honestly
still
so much
what
fun.
age during that time?
It was like 20 to 23. Oh my gosh, my stomach is growling so much. I'm so hungry.
Oh, good.
I was like, geez, I'm starving.
Here's good news. There's an Arby's right across the street.
Oh, nice. No, yeah. So I think I was 23 at the time we had ended High School Musical 3, maybe, or 24. So.
Yeah. And is that another sense of it's transition time, or is it I need a break time?
It was definitely transition time, and I was like, I was ready to do that transition. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I knew kind of one of the things that I knew kind of going into Disney, and when I such a young age that I knew this, but I was like, I remember being 18, being like, if I book this role on Sweet Life, I know it's going to take a long time for me to kind of step away from Disney, because I knew, that the business puts you into a box, and like it was going to, for me, I'd had a past career before Disney. So, thank you. Killer dog, my bodyguard's with me right now. Oh my God, all this.
Sam, the greatest engineer known to mankind, just flew in with 4 different selections of treats.
Food.
And Maui was there to protect.
Yes.
To make sure. And now Maui
Thank you,
would
Maui.
also like some treats. And thank you, Sam. Very
Thank
thoughtful.
you so much. So yeah, I pretty much knew that there was going to be some moments where I had to kind of like, it's going to take some time. And it's true. It's taken time for sure.
Yeah.
Because everybody since then that I've auditioned for wants to, even like the show Hellcats where I played a cheerleader, or even the show that I did for Clipped, they just see you and they just go, oh, well, she's just playing it like Sharpay. And I'm like, what? I'm like, first of all, I'm not like Sharpay at all, which is so funny. But
Except for during the audition.
Except for during the audition.
When you would not be shown up by your co-star.
Because I did do method acting class when I was younger. And I think it kind of stuck with me that when I'm in a role or getting ready for a role, I do become the role.
Yeah.
And so that is something that I do. But yeah, I think that it's just like an easy thing to say. And so I've had to since then fight for every part that I've ever gone out for, because they just want to say that you're like that. That's who you are. That's what you do. And it's like,
Well, part of the careful what you wish in terms of massive worldwide fame is if it's for one specific role, then that's all they can imagine you have done, can do, will ever do. Mm-hmm. And it's a bizarre yet prevalent aspect of super fame. Mm-hmm. That's the High School Musical girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, not only is it rarefied air to get to that place and have that success, but it's also rarefied air to come anywhere near that level of success again.
Yeah.
And by the way, you've done it. Who needs it? So you continue to diversify.
Yeah.
And at some point you decide, I'm going to be a makeup maven.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
I know.
So how does that happen? Listen.
Yeah.
You had have such a level of success that you kind of could have gone into whatever business you decided to become obsessed with.
Yeah.
Right?
And I did become a producer at 23.
Let's not forget that part.
Yeah.
You were producing.
I produced the movie we were in, but I also
called Picture This.
Yeah, called Picture This, but I also started my production company when I was 23, Blondie Girl Productions. And one of the first things we did was a reality show for Bravo. And then I also produced Young and Hungry on Freeform for 5 seasons. So, and we're currently at Warner Brothers. So I have a pod deal there. So yeah, so I've had my production company for 8 years. And then having that for so long,
you thought, oh, I know.
I need to do makeup.
I've just become a businesswoman in a completely different field.
I know. It's really funny because
Were you approached, or this was all your creation?
No, I was approached, but it was mainly because at the time, I love doing my own makeup. And when it's not your premiere for something, I'm not like, I don't need hair and makeup. Like I can do it myself. So for, obviously Instagram and this, the social aspect of YouTube and Twitter and stuff, you have that immediate,
Marketing.
you will not even immediate marketing. It's just immediate connection to your fans.
Yes.
So you're seeing what they want and what they, and so everybody would always be like, oh my gosh, what makeup do you use? And how do you do this? And so for a while, there was a lot of people asking me about how I was doing my makeup for certain events. And so then I remember kind of like looking at what I was using and I was like, well, I could say what I'm using, but it's like pretty expensive stuff. And I was like, my fans, like, that's kind of wrong to be like, well, it's all this expensive stuff because that's what like I've learned from my makeup artist. I was like, there's got to be a way where you can do formulas like this and make it less expensive. Because it's like, for me, if like I'm going to create something, it's like I know my fans and I know my audience. And like, I just felt like when I looked at the business in a whole for makeup, especially celebrity makeup collections, there weren't really affordable lines. And so to me, when I was approached by a company, which was BH Cosmetics, they were affordable. And it was honestly, to be honest, what made me actually sign with them was basically the makeup developer there. I had this cream and chic lip tint that I've had for years in my makeup drawer that I bought like 7 of them from Stila. And they had stopped selling them years ago. And it turns out he was the developer on that. And I was just like, what? Yeah. So I was like, I still have that in my drawer. So I just knew it was like the right place. And yeah, and then I took over the company just last year. So it was like a collaboration with them. And now I fully took over the company.
And what does that mean?
Well, that is a very hard thing to do, let me tell you. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done in anything I've ever done.
And did
owning
you
your own company.
Think this through ahead of time, what it actually meant?
I didn't really, but I knew why I was doing it, which is, I think, the drive for why you do it, you know? So why I was doing it was because I was like, you know what? There's so many makeup lines out there that are teaching you to like, I don't know, there's just so much, it's an overwhelming market, I think, where it's like, there's 30 different eyeshadows in a palette. There's like these, YouTubers on how you contour your face perfectly and do like tons of makeup. And I just felt like that's not how I do my makeup. And I was really successful with Illuminate on these kind of curated palettes, like these kind of like girl on the go palettes. And so I was just like, you know what? I really want to take over this company and specifically make this for the everyday girl, the girl that works at Starbucks that likes to put some makeup on but doesn't want to put like a full face of makeup on. And but it's still buildable if you want to do kind of a full face. But yeah, so for me, it was just like why I was doing it was because I just felt like there was like a hole in the market. And I've always dreamt of owning my own company. I never thought through how hard it is to own your own company.
I've always dreamt of owning my own company. Yeah. Is there a country out there that you might want to also take over? No. Where is?
I have enough on my hands for sure.
Yeah, I've always dreamt of owning my own company.
Yeah,
and while the great thing is, you had a passion about something that was very real to you, and also a connection to your fans. I mean, all of it is just kind of perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for the hours that one must put into
the emotional roller coaster
of running a company.
Because, it's like, that's when you get into like, fundraising and stuff. That's not an easy thing, let me tell you. It's funny because I think we have this really weird perspective because of Instagram and social media being like, there's just this pressure of no one really kind of actually letting you in on the journey of how hard it is, because
no one mentions that.
No one talks about it.
No.
And that's, I think, why I didn't know. I was like, if someone were to tell me this, maybe I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But I'm not kidding you. It is like, honestly.
Well, give just a couple of examples that maybe people wouldn't know about. I'm not asking you to complain about anything because you don't want to do that. No one wants to hear it. But just in terms of, you just said.
Yeah.
If only someone had said to me, if only there was a way on social media to let people know how hard it is. So how about just a couple of the administrative actual, like you said, fundraising. So you have to build a new line of product. You have to raise money to make that new line of product.
Make the new line of product.
Right.
Because and like, of course everybody's going to think like, well, why not put your own money into it? Because, well, it's a business, it's a company, and it's a different thing. It's a beast of
every great producer, the first lesson you learn is don't
use your own money. Yes, that's how I always said as a producer.
No, but I mean, that's been true for 100 years.
Yeah. So pretty much, and obviously I used, some of my money for some aspects of it, but yeah, I mean, fundraising is like, it's an emotional roller coaster. You get really far with someone, they seem interested, and then they're like, never mind. And it's just.
Did anyone ever suggest to you, because of the Disney, which owns ABC, which has Shark Tank?
Oh, Shark Tank? No, I don't think so. No one's ever really mentioned that to me.
Well, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Okay, interesting.
Have you seen the show?
I have seen it. I really do like watching it.
Yeah.
It's pretty,
Jamie and I became a little obsessed, and there's certain things that people go on there and we instantly go, nope, not going to get a deal. Mm-hmm. And then after watching, I don't know, 100 episodes, 10 years, so 200 episodes.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they would go coconut bananas.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll maybe look into that. I'll look into that.
Hey, listen, finder's fee is not necessary.
You're so funny.
I'm simply saying that I believe you that fundraising for a company, also, how are people with deep pockets? It's another form of audition for you.
That's really the hardest part, is that pitching is very different than pitching yourself for, a job or a role. Like, you have to know, I think the business side of me comes from my family, which is my mom's side of the family. We're all, my grandfather promoted the Ginsu knives, so he's like on late
Get
at
out
night.
Of here.
Yes,
Get out of here.
Yeah, my grandpa. Yeah.
What does that
he was
even?
The promoter of the Ginsu knife, and Ron Popeil's my cousin.
I remember you mentioning that and thinking that's not possible.
Yeah, my great grandpa was an inventor, so.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood
You're
to do
hustlers.
business. Yeah, very, So I think that, the hardest part for me on this side of the business is that it's all new and different. And I think that what I know and how I thrive in my acting and music worlds and producing is that I've been in it for so long. So I know how to do it. It's easy. I know what to do. And in this side, it's like, there's things where I don't know and I'm still learning. And I'm just like, it's scary, I think, even just from, hiring people for your company and making sure you're making the right decision. And
how do you trust?
And it's also, technically for me, it's a startup company. So it's a lot of stuff like you're figuring out the financials and all of that stuff that I'm just like, I wasn't prepared. However, in any business, there's those moments that go, this is why I'm doing it. You see your product, you see what you've done so far, and you're like, it's a journey. It's just not 0 to 100. And I think that's what I was bringing back to the perspective on Instagram, is that it just is 100 and everything is like, this is, but I think it's so important to know that it is a journey. It takes time, and it takes, a lot of time for a company to get up and running. And so I think that is something I, have learned along the way. And honestly, to be honest, I have gone through, I feel like, business school in this last year that it's been pretty incredible what I've learned and what I now know how to do and how to talk to investors is so just a different type of language. And it's just like, it's pretty incredible.
And what about mentoring up and coming
people?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm down. I wouldn't say I'm like super successful at it yet, but I'm down. I'm like, I could give you some pointers.
Well, I mentioned this for a couple of reasons. One, I always ask people to come on the show, did you have a mentor along the way? You've mentioned a couple. And then the other thing is, paying it forward and investing in other people. Mm-hmm. So when Jamie and I have been together, 12 years that I can publicly speak of. But when her niece, which is like the closest she has to her own personality in her family. When her niece was about 11, Jamie was already out here in LA. Jaden is her name. And she, at 11, said, I'm going to graduate high school and move to Los Angeles also. And Jamie and I said, okay, well, get your shit together and figure out what it is you want to do between now and when you graduate. Again, this is an 11-year-old. And by the time she graduates high school, she figures out that she wants to be a makeup artist.
Oh, wow.
And she's doing it in their hometown of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
When she was 17, 18. Like within weeks of graduating, she moves out to Los Angeles.
Oh, my God.
We put her up in one of the guest rooms in the house. And I'm not a breeder. Jamie's not a breeder. Suddenly there's a teenager in the house.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a little freaky.
Oh, my gosh.
But she's instantly the most self-efficient person in Los Angeles. Because when I first moved here, there was a Thomas guide and you couldn't find anything.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Now, because of the phone
Yes.
and Waze and all these other apps that help you get around a ridiculous metropolis like Los Angeles, she knows the town better than us within 6 months. And this chat show was always a sort of live streaming video, and I had a few great makeup artists over the years that would do the guest. So when Jaden starts to develop and prove herself sort of as a makeup artist, I put her on the chat show to be the makeup artist, and everyone is super thrilled. This is a couple years ago. Then I did a movie, and I brought her in, and she went from like an intern to
that's so cool.
Key makeup artist during the production.
Jeez.
I know. Then when we talk about the award shows, because Maisel's annoyingly successful at the award shows.
Yeah.
The network, in this case Amazon, says you can have this budget for glam, this budget for styling, this budget for makeup. So I'm throwing those to her as well, and she's thriving. It starts working at this wonderful boutique in Beverly Hills. So again, she's 20.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Right. And this may seem like a trick or a trap. She's here. She's here today because you're her hero.
Oh.
Yes, I know. And this is gonna freak her out, but I want to bring her into the studio for just
oh my gosh,
just an introduction. Would that be okay? Would you be down? Just for a little hello. She's probably gonna cry.
Oh my God, stop it.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she'll.
I see pink hair.
Yeah, she wasn't prepared at all for this.
Oh my
I
God,
can promise
she's
you
so
that.
cute.
Her name is Jaden. And here she comes.
Maui's gonna bark.
We can put the other microphone on.
Maui, stop. Hi. Hi. Oh nice to meet you. You are so cute. I love your pink hair.
Okay, you don't need headphones, but the microphone's on, right, Sam? Yep, good to go. All right, so Jaden, first of all, sorry, you did not know this was going to happen.
It's okay.
I didn't really know it was going to happen either. When we agreed to the show, I knew Jaden was, you were her hero, so I thought I would just tell her and let her know, if you want to come and sit in the engineer booth. And then, yes, Sam, please, lots of pictures. We need to send Jamie photo that I just thought, what the hell, why not? So,
oh my gosh.
And then we started talking about what it really meant to try to build and take over this makeup company. And so, yes, the reason I was asking about mentoring was to let you know that you have your first pupil if you want.
That's amazing.
But also just in terms of how truly happy Jamie and I are with, believing in yourself and working hard and putting in the hours the way that Jaden has.
Yeah.
At 20, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. But we've just spent the last hour plus talking about a 3-year-old who, by the time she's 18, is 15 years in the business.
I know.
Who always knew what she wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
So, Jaden, you're allowed to ask 2 questions. If you only have one, that's fine. She was not prepared, as you can tell. I'll buy you a little time just by here. Let me. Sam, are you getting plenty of photos? Yeah. If you only have one question, that's fine too. But surely you have one question. There we go. I'll just do this. We'll take more. This is just a little candid shot for Jamie. So, anything at all. It doesn't even have to be makeup related because I know you.
Well, one kind of is.
Right.
Okay.
And one is also kind of related to Maui.
Oh, okay.
So
yes.
I want to know if you ever think that Maui will get a brother or a sister.
Oh, like another puppy?
Another puppy.
No.
No?
Not a.
Is Maui going to like get jealous, you think?
She's very jealous, first of all. So I had a dog before Maui, Blondie, that was obsessed with my dad. And actually, I had gotten her and I went to do High School Musical 1. And so she literally immediately just like fell in love with my dad. And I think the dogs pick their owners, to be honest.
Sure.
So she treated me like a sister the entire time. I was like, this dog does not want to be with me. So unfortunately, she's my parents' dog. And then that's what really I wanted to find a dog for me. And so I got Maui. There was a time where like maybe 2 years that I was like, okay, I think I want to get another dog for Maui to hang out with. But she's very jealous. She is like, even when I'm around Blondie. And then like my sister got a dog. So technically she has a lot of dogs around her in the family that she's like able to play with and stuff. But she really likes being the only dog. At this point, because she's like older, I just feel like she would feel like she's getting replaced. And I do not want that to happen. So
We have a 12-year-old cat, and then every now and then we'll say, should we get a second one for her to have a friend? And there's always the concern, she's a lone cat. She does not want anyone else in the cat world around.
to be honest, she doesn't even know she's a dog, honestly.
Right.
Like she stays on set. She like has grown up on set. She goes into my husband's studio that she literally looks at other dogs like, what are they? And like, I think she thinks she's something else. So I honestly don't think she'd even like get along with another, like she knows Blondie, of course, since she was a puppy, but yeah, she's just like totally happy being the only dog in our family.
Right. Oh, excellent.
Yes.
All right. Is there a makeup related question?
My makeup question was, I know that the glow up palettes came out.
Yes.
And I wanted to know how long that you were like working on them for.
That's been about, I would say, over 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know, for me specifically, formulas are very important to me that they're high quality, even though we're an affordable makeup line. And, you know, I think coming from BH Cosmetics, because they're such a great company, and I think that, you know, I had, you know, for me, I was like, all my reviews are about how great the formulas are. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was still up to par and even better, actually. Like, actually, we even stepped it up a notch with our formulas for the Glow Up palette. And that's why they're a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I think that lines that are able to produce really quickly, I think, honestly, just don't care enough on their on the quality of it. So so that's why it does take a long time. It takes so long to do, you know, lipstick. It takes like, I remember, I mean, doing my liquid lipsticks, it took about a year, you know, for me to develop that at BH Cosmetics. So yes, Glow Up has been a 9-month process for sure.
But it's worth the wait.
It is worth the wait. I'm like so excited. I'm wearing it right now, and I just did like 2 little tutorials for Instagram where I show you how to get ready in like 5 minutes with the Glow Up palette, the warm, and then to build it up more for like a date night with the cool palette. So I like to use it like on my eyes and everything.
Yeah. I like when they're versatile like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And how do we find this line?
At illuminatecosmetics.com.
Say again, please.
Illuminatecosmetics.com.
Okay.
Yes.
That's damn exciting.
So exciting.
Yeah. Jaden, are you all right?
I'm pretty
You did
excited.
really well. You did really well. I thought you might pass out. Or well, listen,
so funny.
first of all, it's really hard to meet someone you admire, or dare I say a hero.
I know.
And it's almost always disappointing. But I knew you are just a historically sweet person.
Oh, thank you so much.
Inside and out, honestly, truly.
Thank you.
And this was such a thing to throw at you, and you are
You're so sweet.
unbelievably thoughtful and a champ to
Thank you.
not say, wait a minute, what? And all right, I'll let you off the hook, Jaden. Thank you very much.
So nice to meet you.
to
I
meet
love your
you.
hair
We'll
color.
take a
Thank you.
Yay! We'll take a couple more pictures. We're just about ready to wrap up. Thank you for that. That was
Of
completely
course.
uncalled for.
No, it's all good. I love it.
Yeah, I just knew that there was a genuine curiosity beyond just being a fan
Yes.
in your specific world that we were talking about.
It's very true.
Do you think you'll be able to juggle now that you have taken over this company? And
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think with, for me, how I do juggle everything is I have a lot of support in each area of my life. So I have, a team at Blondie Girl Productions that are in the everyday aspect. My sister actually runs the company. And
That's phenomenal.
Yes, it's awesome. And so really it's just like nice to have that team set up. And, right now I'm in that moment where I'm setting up the team at Illuminate Cosmetics. So it is taking up more time, more of my time, but I also am doing music and and then also still looking at acting side of things. But it's great because I love being able to do something where when I'm not inspired in a certain aspect of my career, I'm able to do something else. Like I haven't really found the project that I I'm dying to be in, on the acting side yet. So it's like, while I'm waiting for that project or actually I'm developing one in my company, it's cool to be able to do stuff that you're also passionate about.
Yeah, I don't even know how you had time to come do this, quite frankly.
You're so funny. I know. I'm like, everybody's like blowing up my phone right now, to be honest.
Well, I will let you off the hook because we've gone long enough, damn near an hour and a half. So
yes, I know.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
It's now time for the last two segments of the show. The first one is called Ask Kevin. You're allowed to ask me any question. It could be silly or sincere or neither, but you only get one question. What would that be?
One question to ask you. Man.
And
man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, of course, I want to ask about probably your show because I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Did you know, since we talked about this, did you know when you read the script that you were like, this is going to be a big thing?
Well, the success of the Gilmore Girls suggested that these two showrunners, Amy Sherman Palladino, Dan Palladino, would be geniuses.
Yeah.
And then when they called me and asked me if I wanted to join the circus, they'd already shot the pilot, and they realized, oh no, we don't have in-laws. So we have to find in-laws. And so they asked if I wanted to be the father-in-law. And I said, yes, of course. My agent had sent the pilot or told me that it was on Amazon.
Yeah.
And you watch the pilot and you see what their vision is. You see, even though every series gets better beyond the first episode, the pilot, because of all those reasons that are known. But, the whole style of it was just so magical. Yeah. And intensely visual and engaging, but also a storyline and characters that I, having come up in stand-up comedy myself, was partial and biased towards. Then I'm told the pilot by Amazon had been picked up to 2 seasons. Wow. So that makes that all the more easy.
Yes.
Let me think. Yes. But really, as you know, it always comes down to the script.
Yeah.
And you look at the script of the first episode, which is all they had. They didn't have any scripts to send my way when they were asking me to join the party. They were breaking stories and writing scripts for season 1.
Oh, cool.
You watch that first episode and you go, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. It's magical.
So good.
Now, did I think the world would embrace it? Did I think we'd be a huge hit in India? Did I think that Jaden, a 20-year-old who has no connection to Upper West Side Jews in 1958, and her other 20-year-old friends, when they were 19 at the time, they would become obsessed with it? Or every walk of life. So I knew we'd get a strong demographic in a very specific area, and then had no concept that it would be embraced wildly.
So good.
Yeah. And then thankfully we didn't mess it up.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
And it just keeps getting better, which is weird.
It is. It does.
Yeah. And thank you for that. All right. Now it's time for Kevin's pop quiz, and then we can say goodbye. Between 5 and 15 points possible for each of these 3 questions. Once the final score is tabulated, it'll be posted on our website along with the current standing among the top 100. Are you ready?
Oh my God. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Question number 1.
I'm scared.
Keith David or David Keith?
Who is that?
That's correct answer. Question number 2. Carl Weathers or the weather in Carlsbad?
I do not know who that is either.
Okay. Also the correct answer. And question 3. Steve?
What?
Perfect score. That's incredible. Wow.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Congratulations. You're in the top 10 already.
That is hilarious.
That is the design of the Kevin's Pop
Oh my gosh.
quiz.
That's amazing.
You're amazing, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
As you go on to conquer other worlds and other planets, you'll always be my cinematic daughter, and I will forever cherish our time then and forevermore.
Yes.
And Maui, thank you for being unbelievably protective when the door opened twice. That's very impressive. We may have to have a picture of the three of us on the website when we take the normal picture, just so people can see what we've been talking about. Because you won't imagine, even from the barking sounds in the background, that Maui fits in your hand and is a powder puff, basically. Yes. Yeah, part of the makeup line.
She's so cute.
It's absurd. It's kind of unfair to all other dogs that weigh less than a pound.
She's so dang cute. It's crazy.
And you said she's probably 11.
Yeah.
Well, that's also ridiculous. All right. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the folks at
right.
home. Sam Kiefer, Engineer of the Stars. Thank you so much, Sam. I can't wait to get the pictures and everything you took of these magical moments.
Always my
Ashley
pleasure.
Tisdale, a darling and a wonderful and extraordinary talented businesswoman. And Jaden Fox, who came in and very comfortably sat down and asked two incredibly intelligent questions. I thought she might cry or pass out, and neither happened, and I was an idiot to think so. She proved herself to be the incredibly strong, successful woman that she is. And the other incredibly strong woman, Jamie Foxx, is going to be super happy and thrilled that things went as well as they did. And thanks to everybody here at Earwolf and the auspices there, and Corey Levitt in post. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.